What is the shadow? The psychological concept of the shadow was first developed by the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. According to Jung, the shadow is the part of the unconscious mind that contains the repressed aspects of the personality that the individual deems undesirable or socially unacceptable. The shadow is primarily formed in childhood. We are all born with a clean slate, and then we undergo the process of socialization, where we learn these behaviors and skills about how we need to fit in our environment and how we need to operate with people around us. And we are also taught what acceptable behavior is and what the consequences are of undesirable behavior. So, for example, if a kid just picks up all the cookies from the plate in front of him or her, then maybe that kid is reprimanded because they are told that you are a selfish kid, you should share. Why did you pick up all the cookies? And then, when they are made to share those cookies, whether they like it or not, then they are labeled, wow, look at you, you're a good kid, you want to share the cookies with others. So then that kid will repress that part of their personality where they feel they are greedy because they wanted to have all those cookies. So, whatever we deny, we disown, we reject, and repress, we send it down to the unconscious and it becomes a part of our shadow. We deny these traits as a part of coping mechanism. We want to be liked, loved, and admired by the people around us in the classroom, in our homes, or the playground. So, any behavior that is not approved by our peers or caregivers or our parents or the adults around us, we just disown it and push it down into our subconscious. And that's where it becomes part of the shadow. Now, the purpose of life is to become whole. So these shadow aspects try to resurface from time to time because they want to get integrated in the whole. We all have a dualistic nature where both dark and bright sides exist within us. But if we keep denying our dark side and only try to operate from just one side, then we'll create this neurotic behavior, and the other side will clamor for attention because energetically we want to have balance in our bodies and minds. So the more we suppress, the more we run into those chances where it might just surface without any conscious awareness. The shadow makes itself known in two ways. Number one, when we project onto others. So I see in others what I do not want to acknowledge in me. It could be greed, anger, hunger for power, selfishness, or other negative traits. I want to deny these in myself because I am a good person, and so what will happen is I will see it in others and make others bad because they seem to have it while I don't. The other case happens when suddenly we behave out of character. So we may lash out at someone or we may behave in an irresponsible manner which is not in line with the kind of person we are. And so what happens is in these instances, the shadow takes over and the person is not conscious of their behavior. And then later, we may think, I don't know what came over me. I don't know why I behaved that way. And that's the time when the shadow has taken over. So, if we want to become whole, we want to address and integrate all these split parts of us that exist in the shadow. So, here's the conscious that we are aware of, and the unconscious, which contains the denied parts of us, and we want to bring them together and be whole. So there's a Buddhist story where the Buddha told his followers that there was once a guy who got hit by an arrow. Now, the guy is sitting there bleeding all over the place with the arrow in his arm, and he is trying to analyze who shot me? Why would they do it? Was it my mistake? Did I do something to them? Why is this happening to me? So now the misery of this person is twofold. One, because they are suffering from the injury that the arrow has created, and the other is because they are analyzing and trying to understand why this has happened. So, why not just address the issue, just take the arrow out and attend to the physical injury and not add more misery to the situation? So, the essence is that instead of trying to dive deep into our psyche and understand why this shadow was formed, why we behave the way we are in certain situations, why we project onto others, and when was the time we denied these aspects in ourselves and what the situation was. So instead of going into analysis paralysis, let's just try to look at these parts of ourselves which are causing this split in us and just address them. Ultimately, when we address and acknowledge these parts, they will help us getting ahead in our life and behave like a whole person. We don't need to address the root cause of why the shadow was created the way it was created. All we need to do is address and integrate these different parts so that we can function as a whole being. Now, the shadow contains negative human traits like greed, anger, selfishness, hunger for power, control, and others. But the good news is the shadow also contains positive traits like being bold, silly, playful. These traits are also the ones that were considered unacceptable, and that's why were denied by us. So maybe events like when you were trying to express your opinion and someone told you, "Why are you so loud? Don't express your opinion so fiercely. Be modest, be humble, or maintain decorum in the classroom." That one is my favorite because I was told that. So, what happens is we have that fear that we may get ostracized, and so because we feel threatened for our safety, we again deny these positive traits in us. And we project these traits onto others. So, when we see someone else who's being bold, playful, who is charismatic, who is able to express their opinion freely, then we admire them, or we even are jealous of them, or we feel that they can do it, but we cannot do it because we lack certain things or certain skills in ourselves. But again, it's just a form of projection because this is something that we feel discomfort in expressing because we denied these aspects in ourselves. Along with the personal shadow, there is also the collective shadow, which contains the unconscious aspects of communities, cultures, groups, nations, which are then expressed as wars or racism or a concept of us versus them. We also witness how sometimes people behave in volatile ways when they are part of a crowd, or how they behave when they are anonymous, when their shadow takes over, like internet trolls, or when people engage in road rage. These are all manifestations of the shadow. Alan Watts said, "To be human, one must recognize and accept a certain element of irreducible rascality within oneself as well as one's enemies." What this means is we need to acknowledge and accept that all of us have this dualistic nature and all of us have positive as well as negative traits in us. So then, when we look at others, we understand that they are same as us. They also have negative and positive qualities, and so do we. And so it becomes more about self acceptance. We accept ourselves as this human being who has access to both the sides. And once we accept ourselves, then we can improve ourselves. So, first, self acceptance, and then comes the task of self improvement. Ultimately, wholeness of our being can occur when there is acknowledgement of all these different parts and there is no split or tucking away of the undesirable aspects. We see this depicted in movies and TV shows as well, like Fight Club, Breaking Bad. In Fight Club, the protagonist projects his repressed desires and behaviors on this external version of itself and ultimately integrates it at the end. While in Breaking Bad, the shadow takes over and the protagonist starts acting out in this version where he then plays out all the repressed desires that he had kept under check for so long. So, our goal here to bring our shadow to the light. When we bring shadow to the light, then we can harness the power of all these traits that we kept hidden for so long. So, our anger could help us be more assertive so that we can achieve our goals. Our selfishness could help us be more loving and caring towards ourselves. And the things that we see in others, the things that we envy, could be the things that we can see in ourselves, and we have the potential for all that brightness in us. So the shadow may sound like a fearful prospect, but ultimately it's just looking at these hidden aspects of us that we once thought were unacceptable, so we tuck them away. But they all have the power to make us whole, and then we can have a better and fuller experience of life where we are operating from wholeness. Thanks for watching.